안녕하세요. You're going to learn how to make question sentences using why in this lesson. Let's go. Let's learn how to make a question using why. It's relatively easier than the other question forms. That's why this page has more space than the others. We'll tell you why. You don't need to see other things on this page. Just take a look at the bottom of this page. In a nutshell, just put where right after the subject. That's it. Yeah, that's it. You've already mastered how to make question sentences using why. Let's see the simple example here. Why are you so pretty? Just get rid of the subject you because we don't use the pronoun you in an honorific sentence. And put where and say the rest with the rising tone. Where so pretty? It's too easy, right? Let's take a look at the next one. Why do you like that jerk? Just get rid of the subject you and put where, which means why, and say the rest. Where, that jerk, like. Okay? Great. Let's learn the sentence we saw in the previous page. It looks like a funny sentence. Why are you so pretty? Because if we learn this sentence, we can say, why are you so angry? Or why are you so serious and stuff. Let's see the English sentence first. Why are you pretty like this? Like this? Why we use like this instead of so? It's just the way how Koreans say. The direct translation of pretty like this in Korean is closer to the meaning of the original English sentence, so pretty, in a question sentence. Again, only in a question sentence. Remember that. If it's a declarative sentence, you can use so, which means very. So you can use the word which means an adverb very in a Korean sentence. Okay? Keep that in mind. Even though you're mixed up, native Koreans would understand what you mean, but we are sure you won't forget this if you practice enough. So when Koreans say, why are you so pretty? Why are you so angry? Why are you so serious? Why are you so stupid? They use like this or like that. Why are you so pretty like this? Why are you so serious like this? Why are you so angry like this? Why are you so stupid like this? The translation of like this is 이렇게. As you know, the final hit, which sounds h as an initial, is a silence as a final all the time. But this hit affects on the particular initial consonant of the next block. 그 consonant is one of them. So its sound changes to k sound like K in English. So 이렇게 is the correct pronunciation. We learned about this in lesson 4 part 4. When we learned about the pronouns, we learned that the translation of this is 이것. So we assume that this E sound is related to this. Right? Okay. Just remember the entire like this. 이렇게. You don't need to know how 렇게 sound added to E. It's way too complicated, plus nobody knows. We also explained in lesson 4 part 1 that when to use this, that, and it in Korean. It's pretty much the same as English, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. Just one thing, the pronoun that is translated into two different letters, 그 or 저, according to the situation or the context. Please take a look at the vocab box here when you have time. If you don't understand, you need to go back to lesson 4 part 1. Do I sound too stingy? Or just listen to our explanation here, you will know. We talked much, let's get back to the sentence. Why are you pretty like this? Let's rearrange the words. It's getting easier for you to position the words in a Korean sentence structure, isn't it? We saw the subject you. Let's put it first, but we know it's useless. And as we learned, we put why right next to the subject. You know, without the subject you, it will position at the head of the sentence. Where should we put like this then? The adjective pretty is going to be used as a predicate in this sentence, like a verb is. So the adjective pretty will be positioned at the end of the sentence for sure. By the way, we use be verb to make an adjective a predicate in English, but we don't need anything like this in Korean. So you can forget about the be verb here. Like this actually modifies the adjective pretty, as so modifies pretty in so pretty. We think we mentioned something about this before. In Korean, a modifier must come right before the word it modifies. Again, in Korean, a word that modifies another word must come before the word that is modified. So you put like this right before the adjective pretty in a Korean sentence. You, why, like this, pretty. Now you're already able to make a Korean sentence, right? We know already you've reached that level. Okay, let's do it together. Ignore the pronoun you and put why, 왜, like this, 이렇게, pretty. The basic form of the adjective pretty is 예쁘다, 예쁘다. The stem is 예쁘. The vowel of 쁘 is 으, the neutral vowel. We should add 어요. So it's 예쁘어요, 예쁘어요. But 쁘 doesn't have any final consonant. Therefore, 쁘 sound should combine with 어 sound. But there is no compound vowel which sounds like 으 plus 어. They decided to use just 어 sound. Therefore, it's just 예뻐요, 예뻐요. Okay? Now you understand. You, why, like this, pretty. 왜 이렇게 예뻐요? 왜 이렇게 예뻐요? Beautiful. You can make a higher respect form yourself. By the way, we don't really use this why are you so pretty in a real life conversation, but as soon as you learn another adjective such as angry, serious, or stupid, you will have plenty of chance to use this sentence structure. Wow, we're seeing a lot of words on this page, but don't worry, it's nothing. Let's see the English sentence first. Why is that man angry like that? We can see the adjective angry and like that this time instead of like this. Let's see what's the translation of like that. 저렇게, 저렇게. Like this is 이렇게. Like that is 저렇게. What's the usage of like that? It can mean both very angry or so angry or literally like that. Why is he angry like that? Why is he so angry, right? You use 저렇게 when you can see something or someone right now which is not in a touching distance because 저 sound is in it. Well, it's so obvious, everybody knows that. There is one more word in a vocab box. What is that? 그렇게, 그렇게. We can see 그 sound is in it. We use 그 when we indicate something which is in the previous sentence or something which is not here right now, but both the speaker and the listener already know what it is. Then let's learn about the adjective angry. The actual basic form of the adjective angry is 화나다, 화나다. But when we want to use it like the present simple tense of the English adjective angry, you should make it look like the past tense. 화났다, 화났다. We saw something like this when we learned about the adjective handsome in use of lesson 3. Okay, let's talk about this one more time. Let's see the grammar section. We think maybe it's okay for you to go a little bit deeper this time. As you said, the basic form of the adjective angry is 화나다, and 화나 must be the stem. Then let's take a look at the first one below. 화난다, 화난다. Have you ever seen this form before with 은다 sound added? Yes, we have. In lesson 3, when we started the actual lesson, we briefly mentioned about conjugation in verbs and adjectives. This 화난다 is also present simple form of the adjective angry with the suffix 다. You use this form in your journal or a diary. Anyway, the point is, this is in the present simple tense. How about the next one? 화나요. 화나요. You must be familiar with this form. This must be the stem 화나 plus the ending 아요. And na and a sound combined as one because they both have the same vowel a. So it's not 화나아요. It's 화나요. Okay? The thing is, when you use this actual present simple tense of the adjective angry with the honorific suffix 요, 화나요 in Korean, it actually sounds like I'm getting angry now, as if it is in the present continuous tense. It's a kind of an exception like the adjective handsome that we learned in usual lesson 3. We had to use the past tense to actually mean the present simple tense with the adjective handsome as well. Maybe it's because 화나다 in Korean is a verb, not an adjective as it is in English. That's why it sounds like a present continuous when it is in the present simple tense. We told you that in Korean, the present simple form can mean the present continuous as well, right? But it only applies to verbs. As we learned, an adjective cannot mean or have the form of the present continuous even in Korean. Maybe there will be a time we learn about all conjugations of verbs and adjectives, maybe at level 2. Okay, please take a look at the next line. 화났다. 화났어요. This one looks like in the past tense, but it actually shows the subject has already got angry, as if it's in the present perfect tense like he's got angry. Koreans use the past tense to mean present perfect tense, especially when the action started from the past. Some might say Koreans also have the present perfect tense. Yes, that's true. There is something like that, but we would say it's something different from the English present perfect tense. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, in this case, Koreans focus more on the actual point where the subject got angry in the past. That's why they use the past tense. 화났어요 might look like in the past tense, but it indicates the present simple tense. Be careful about that. 화났어요. 화났었어요. We can see the ending 요, which makes a verb or an adjective the past tense. But the difference is it's conjugated from 화났다, not 화나다. Adding 요 to the past tense form is actually the way how Koreans make the great past tense. But this great past tense indicates the past tense for this particular verb. Yes, it's a bit difficult to understand. That's why we put it here to explain. Okay, let's see how to make a higher respect form then. The actual basic form of the higher respect form in Korean is 화나시다. 화나시다. We simply add the 시 sound to the actual basic form 화나다. Making past tense to indicate the present tense thing applies to the higher respect form as well. You have to turn 화나시다 into the past form to mean present simple tense and turn it into the great past tense form to mean the past tense. If we add 요 sound to 화나시, it becomes 화나시어요, but 시 and sound have to combine as a one sound. So 화나셔요 is correct. It's a present simple tense, but it also sounds a bit weird, not only because it sounds like present continuous. We'll explain why shortly. Anyway, in order to mean someone is angry, you need to turn 화나셔요 into the past form. Therefore, we need to add 요 to 화나시. 화나시어요. But again, 시 and sound are supposed to combine. Therefore, it becomes 화나셨어요. 화나셨어요. And it actually means present simple tense. Okay? Just one tip. You don't really want to use 화나셔요, which is in the actual present simple tense, to someone who's much older than you, or someone you don't know very well because it sounds like you're mocking the listener. It's like you're asking, are you getting angry now, huh? How does it sound like? It probably wouldn't be so nice to ask a question like this to someone who's actually getting angry. Now you understand what we mean. Okay, let's rearrange the words now. What is the subject of this sentence? That man, right? And put why right after it as we learned. And put like that next. And put the adjective angry or is angry, which is actually a verb in Korean, at the end. Yes, angry is a verb in Korean. So being angry is actually an action in Korean, not emotion. Interesting, isn't it? That doesn't mean Koreans always take an action when they are angry. Don't get me wrong. That man, why, like that, is angry. Be verb is useless here, as you know. That man. Man is 남자. You can choose between 저 or 그 for that here. If you mean someone you mentioned in the previous sentence or someone who is not around you, you can use 그. Or if you mean someone whom you can see over there, you can use 저. 그 or 저 modifies 남자. Therefore, it must be positioned right before 남자. 저 남자가. Let's use the particle 가 here. You can use 은 too, as you know. It will change the nuance of the sentence slightly though. Or you also can get rid of the particle if it's too much trouble for you. Yeah, it will sound fine in a real life conversation, don't worry. Anyway, that man, 저 남자가. Why? Where? Like that. If you used 저 남자, it would be better to use 저렇게 with the same sound, 저. If you used 그 남자, it would be better to use 그렇게 with the same sound, 그. Makes sense, doesn't it? Angry. 화났어요? 저 남자가 왜 저렇게 화났어요? 저 남자가 왜 저렇게 화났어요? 저 남자 왜 저렇게 화났어요? Perfect. How about the higher respect form? That man. It's a person. So you can find a higher respect way to refer to him. Let's use 분 here. 저 남자 분이. You can add 분 to a man or a woman who is a total stranger or whom you don't know very well to show some respect. It might make you look better because you will be such a nice person who even used a higher respect form for a stranger. 저 남자분이. You can omit the particle 이 here if it doesn't pop in your head right away. Why? 왜? Like that. 저렇게. Angry. We learned how to make a higher respect form of the verb 화나다 already. 화나셨어요? 저 남자분이 왜 저렇게 화나셨어요? Or 저 남자분 왜 저렇게 화나셨어요? If you want to use 그 남자분, you better use 그렇게 instead of 저렇게. 그 남자분 왜 그렇게 화나셨어요? Okay? Very good. Let's learn how ending changes when we ask about the listener's opinion. It's gonna be very useful. This is not something that applies only to the question using why. It can apply any question form. It's not that difficult. Just you're gonna learn one more ending and you can apply that ending to any verb we've learned. Since we've been learning the interrogative adverb why so far, let's talk about this relating to why. The question forms we made using why was to ask the listener the exact reason why for that particular matter, right? Like, why is that man so angry? But sometimes we just want to ask about the listener's opinion, not the actual reason. Like, why do you think that man is so angry? We're gonna learn how to say this in Korean. Instead of using do you think, we're gonna simply change the ending of a verb or an adjective. When we ask about the reason, we don't have to change the predicate. We just need to add a question mark at the end. But when we want to ask for the opinion, we need to change the ending of a verb or an adjective. When the last letter of the stem doesn't have a final consonant, you should add a final l sound and 가요 to the stem. When the last letter of the stem do have a final consonant, you should add the letter 을 plus 가요 to the stem. Okay? It's simple. Let's take a look at some examples. To go. The basic form of the verb go is 가다. And the stem is 가, which doesn't have a final consonant. When it combines with the honorific suffix 요, it becomes 가요. And we should add a final l sound and 가요 to ask about the listener's opinion. So it becomes 갈까요? 갈까요? 갈까요 itself sounds like an English question. Shall we go? Now you understand why it's used to ask about the listener's opinion. You can't use this form in a declarative sentence, by the way. It's used only in a question sentence. This 까 sound is something related to a question all the time. Do you want to check out the past form too? When we make a past form in a normal question or declarative sentence, we add 왔어요, 얻어요, 했어요, or when there is no final consonant in the stem, we add 쌍시옷, which means double s consonant as a final to the stem first, and add 어요 sound. So 가요 becomes 갔어요 in the past tense. To make it opinion asking form, we add 을 sound plus 가요. We always add 을 sound because at of 왔어요, 얻 of 얻어요, 했 of 했어요, they all have the final consonant all the time. Do you get it? So it becomes 갔을까요? 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 Okay? But you don't have to remember the past form of asking opinion because it's too much. But we will definitely get back to it later when we learn about something like the present perfect tense or subjunctive sentences using if. Okay? Very good. Let's take a look at the next verb. To eat. The basic form of the verb eat is 먹다. And it becomes 먹어요 when it combines with the suffix 요. The stem 먹 has the final consonant. Therefore, we need to add 을 sound first and then 까요. 먹을까요? 먹을까요? It's nothing, right? How about the verb like? It's not actually noun plus 하다 verb, but it looks like noun plus 하다 verb. Maybe you can say stem plus 하다 verb. But 좋아 is not a stem actually. 좋아하 is the stem. Anyway, whatever you call it, it has 하다 part. When it combines with the suffix 요, 하 sound turns into 해 sound. So it becomes 좋아해요. The actual stem 좋아하 doesn't have a final consonant. So we should add a final l sound first and then 까요. 좋아할까요? 좋아할까요? Okay, very good. Let's take a look at this interesting example on this page. Why do you think Mr. Jiyoung is kind like that? Like that here can mean both very kind or so kind and literally like that. Whatever it is, they mean all similar, at least in a Korean sentence. Okay, let's rearrange the words first. Let's put the subject Mr. Jiyoung at the head of the sentence as usual. And then put why right after it, as we learned. And let's put the adjective kind at the end of the sentence because we are going to use it as a predicate of the sentence. You know, Korean sentence always ends in a verb or an adjective or a particular predicate we learned, right? And be verb is useless and you know why very well. How about do you think part? Do you think? Yes, we're gonna melt this do you think part into the adjective kind, which is used as a predicate in this sentence as we learned in the previous page. How about like that? It modifies an adjective kind as very or so does in English. Therefore, you should put it right before the adjective kind. So the sentence structure is going to be in a Korean sentence like this. Mr. Ji-young, why? Like that. Do you think kind? Mr. Ji-young is the subject of this sentence, but it doesn't seem that he is the one who is being asked this question. The speaker must be asking someone else about Mr. Ji-young. How can we tell? Not only because we don't directly ask a question like this to someone, but also because the speaker said like that. If the speaker is asking this question directly to Mr. Ji-young, the speaker is supposed to use like this instead of like that, since Mr. Ji-young must be right in front of the speaker. Yes, you're right. Even though the speaker is asking this question to Mr. Ji-young directly, the speaker should use the same subject, Mr. Ji-young. Can't use pronoun you in a Korean honorific sentence. Again, cannot use the pronoun you in a Korean honorific sentence. But since Mr. Ji-young is right in front of the speaker, it is natural to use like this instead of like that. Okay, move on. Let's take a close look at the subject first. Mr. Ji-young, Ji-young-si. We mentioned about it in the study tip in detail. As you know, Ji-young is a first name and it's a male name. And you can use she as a translation of English Mr., Mrs., Miss. But there are two clear differences. First, there is no gender classification in she. You can use it to any person who is older than 19, maybe. Second, you can add she to the first name without the last name in Korean. But you need to think about the relationship with the person before you do that. We don't know the relationship between Ji-young and the speaker in this sentence, but the fact that the speaker used only the first name, which is Ji-young and she, we can guess Ji-young must not be a close friend to the speaker because the speaker used she. We don't use Mr., Mrs., or Miss to our close friends, right? But Ji-young must not a total stranger either because the speaker used only the first name, which means the speaker is close enough to use only the first name. Maybe Ji-young is a speaker's date and the speaker is asking the person who set her up about Ji-young now. Yes, you can use she to a person whom you meet for a date as well as a blind date, especially when you are over 25. When you have a blind date or something, if you add a his or her last name to she, when you call each other, it will sound too formal. Since it's a date, you want to get rid of the last name and sound more intimate to each other. You can keep using first name plus she until you guys are into an actual relationship. Ji-young could be one of the colleagues in the company who is equal to or a bit younger than the speaker. The age is important here because Koreans tend to be polite to a person who is older, even though his or her position in the company is lower. If you ask my personal opinion, when she is added, I would not leave out the last name regardless of the age or position because it sounds a bit weird, awkward, I don't know. Anyway, you know, regarding the first name plus she is also used for a date. But it's just my personal opinion, it's totally your choice. So, Ji-young 씨는, the particle 는 is used here. Yes, of course you can use the subject particle 가. Let's talk about the difference in a nuance shortly. Why? 왜? Like that. 그렇게. 그렇게. We need 그렇게 this time, even though the same like that is used here. It's mainly because Mr. Ji-young is not here. If Mr. Ji-young is right here in front of you and ask this question directly to him, it's natural to use like this, 이렇게. Or if Mr. Ji-young is somewhere near you so that you can see him but he is not in a touching distance, you can use 저렇게, 저렇게, which is like that in English. Now you understand the exact usage of each, right? Do you think is kind? the basic form of the adjective kind is 친절하다. 친절하다. 친절하 is the stem. If you want to ask the listener his or her opinion, you should use the final 르 sound plus 까요. Let's do that together. 친절하 plus the final 르. 친절할 and 까요. 친절할까요? 지용 씨는 왜 그렇게 친절할까요? The speaker is now asking the listener's opinion with the ending 까요. Okay? Then let's add a subject particle 가 to the subject and see how the nuance changes. 지용 씨가 왜 그렇게 친절할까요? 지용 씨가 왜 그렇게 친절할까요? The English translation is the same. Why do you think Mr. Jiyoung is so kind? Or kind of like that. Is there anyone who can feel the changes in the nuance? If there is, now you already are almost Korean. 지용 씨는 왜 그렇게 친절할까요? If the speaker doesn't have any intention to contain the meaning of comparing with another person, this particle 는 gives a nuance that 지용 is the subject or topic of this conversation. Of course, it can give the nuance of the comparing or contrasting, so that you can imply the meaning of Mr. Jiyoung is kinder than anyone else or a particular person. Otherwise, it sounds like more general question with the particle 는. Confusing, isn't it? 지용 씨가 왜 그렇게 친절할까요? As this subject particle is normally used to emphasize the subject or to give new information in a declarative sentence, it also gives the same nuance in a question sentence, of course. So, sentence 지용 씨가 왜 그렇게 친절할까요? Sounds like the speaker really want to know why 지용 is so kind. Plus, sounds like the speaker really don't understand why Mr. Jiyoung is so kind. The speaker might think he has a particular purpose to be kind like that. Do you understand the nuance? It's so difficult, isn't it? Yes, I know. Let's keep practicing together. Let's make a higher respect form then. It might not be appropriate to use 께서 for the subject Mr. Jiyoung. It seems like it. Only because the speaker didn't add his last name, so it means he is neither much older nor has socially higher position than the speaker. It would sound awkward to add 께서 to 지용 씨, so we can just keep using 지용 씨 in a higher respect sentence. Therefore, we just need to turn the adjective that ends the sentence into a higher respect form. The higher respect form of the adjective kind is 친절하시다. 친절하시다. The stem is 친절하시, as you expected. We need to add a final 르 sound and 까요 to ask the listener's opinion. 친절하시일까요? 친절하실까요? 친절하실까요? Okay? 지용 씨는 왜 그렇게 친절하실까요? 지용 씨는 왜 그렇게 친절하실까요? Why do you think Mr. Jiyoung is kind like that? Let's see another example. Why do you like alcohol and cigarette like this? It means, why do you like alcohol and cigarettes so much, or this much in English? We can see like this in this sentence, so we can tell the speaker is actually saying something that the listener is doing, because this is used to describe something in a touching distance. Maybe the listener is now drinking and smoking. Let's see the order of the words in a Korean sentence structure. The subject you comes first, which is useless, and then y comes after it. The verb like comes at the end of the sentence. Alcohol and cigarette comes right before the verb like because they both are the object of the verb like, right? Then where did you put like this? Right before alcohol and cigarette. Strange, isn't it? Because we told you that like this or like that comes right before a verb or an adjective because it modifies a verb or an adjective. Yes, you can put like this right before the verb. It's okay. But you can also put it right before alcohol and cigarette. It's mainly because the object wants to right next to the verb. So you can think when 왜 and 이렇게 come together, it sounds alright. But don't worry, just take a look at it and move on. If it's too much for you, you can still position it right before a verb or an adjective. No problem at all. Anyway, this time, the sentence structure is you, why, like this, alcohol and cigarette, like, why, 왜, like this, 이렇게, 이렇게, alcohol, 술. 술 is a common name of all types of alcoholic beverage. Any type of booze, liquor, or beer. They are all 술 in Korean. The conjunction and. 술 has a final consonant 르. Therefore, you can use 과, 이랑, or 하고. 술과, 술이랑, 술하고 are all fine. Cigarette. Cigarette is 담배. 담배 in Korean. We need to put the object particle 를 because alcohol and cigarette are both objects of the verb like. It's too easy, right? You need to add 를 to the last word 담배. You don't need to add 를 to 술 because 술 has another particle 이랑 already, which means the conjunction and. Like, 좋아해요. It's a question. 좋아해요? So, 왜 이렇게 술이랑 담배를 좋아해요? 왜 이렇게 술이랑 담배를 좋아해요? 왜 술이랑 담배를 이렇게 좋아해요? Is okay too. Let's turn this sentence into a higher respect form. We just need to change the verb. 왜 이렇게 술이랑 담배를 좋아하세요? Or 좋아하셔요? 왜 이렇게 술이랑 담배를 좋아하셔요? Or 왜 이렇게 술이랑 담배를 좋아하세요? With the 세 sound, more natural in a real life conversation. 왜 이렇게 술이랑 담배를 좋아하세요? Okay, let's take a look at the next sentence. Why do you think the president is stupid like that? Stupid like that here means so stupid, or literally stupid like that. Now you understand the meaning of like this or like that in a sentence, right? Let's reposition the words. The president is the subject of the sentence. So the president comes first, and then needless to say, why comes right after it. And then like that comes after it because like that will position right before the adjective stupid, which ends the sentence. Do you think the part we used to ask for the listener's opinion in English will melt into stupid in a Korean sentence? Okay, so the president, why, like that, do you think stupid? President is 대통령, 대통령, 대통령 in Korean. Wow, it was hard to pronounce. Anyway, we used the definite article the this time. Korean doesn't have definite nor indefinite article, but you use definite article the in English when you mention something that is mentioned in the previous sentence or when you indicate a particular thing amongst other things, or when you imply the thing that both the speaker and the listener already know what it is, right? You can use 그 to mean all of these in Korean. So there is no translation for the definite article the in Korean, but you can use 그, especially when you want to indicate the particular thing that you and the listener already know. Do you understand? So the president can be 그 대통령. When you are actually seeing the president over there or in the television, you can say 저 대통령. That president. Got it? Why? 왜? Like that. We used 그 대통령. Therefore, it sounds natural with 그렇게 rather than 저렇게. 그렇게. Okay? Stupid. New adjective, right? The basic form of the adjective stupid is 멍청하다. And the stem is 멍청하. We're gonna ask for a listener's opinion, so we need to add the final L sound plus 까요. 멍청할까요? 그 대통령은 왜 그렇게 멍청할까요? 그 대통령은 왜 그렇게 멍청할까요? 저 대통령은 왜 저렇게 멍청할까요? Why do you think the president is so stupid or stupid like that? 그 대통령은 왜 그렇게 멍청할까요? Okay? We are not gonna make a higher respect form of this sentence. Yes, you can do that if you want, but it sounds a bit awkward because stupid has a kind of bad meaning. Well, maybe it's not so bad, but it's not compliment anyway, so it sounds a bit weird with a higher respect form. Do you understand? You are so stupid won't sound polite even though we use a higher respect form in Korean. We believe you understand our point. Let's move on. This is the end of lesson 5 part 9. You're going to learn how to make question sentences using how in the next lesson. 안녕히 계세요.